What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Auto Auction Rebuilds. Today we're going to go through all of my cars, a fleet update, and I'm going to show you what we still have, what we have sold, and what we haven't sold, and some that we can't sell. Now, for the purposes of this video, I've got the keys inside of all of my cars. I want to make it very clear I would never leave the keys in my vehicles out here, but for this video's sake, I don't want to carry around a bucket of keys. I've taken the liberty of putting the keys to each car inside the car. So I wanted to clear that up because I know somebody's going to comment and say, you are asking for your cars to get stolen. Ladies and gentlemen, I leave my cars locked. The keys are in the house with the alarm set, and we've got cameras all over the property. Let's start with my relatively new 2023 Ram 1500 Limited that I never drive anymore. This thing's got 10,000 miles on the odometer, and it's kind of embarrassing that it just sits down here and it never gets used. Every now and again I'll come down here and pick it up, but honestly, with the fleet of cars that I currently have out here, I mean, just take a look at them. Not just the Bentley, and this is my daily. I've been driving the heck out of this, but the Cadillac ELR, that 84 Chevy, the Mercedes over there, and then in the garage I've got the Tesla. Like, it's hard to justify driving this truck when I've got cars that I would much rather be driving. I still haven't decided if I actually want to get rid of this truck or not. It's a great truck. Like I said, I put about 10,000 miles on it. It's about as loaded as they come, minus the sunroof, which, quite honestly, I've had plenty of trucks with sunroofs. I don't ever use them. Unless it's a convertible car, I don't ever put the top down. So a sunroof to me just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I guess they're nice to have, but for the most part, it's something that I just never ever use. My truck is very dirty. Please excuse the mess. This thing has been used for lots of commuting. I mean, tons of commuting back and forth to Indiana. It's primarily where the 10,000 miles on this truck has come from. And honestly, it's been a great truck so far. I would hope so. It's new. It shouldn't have any problems. I bought it brand new, and I love the truck. It's got heated and cooled seats, but I'll tell you something it doesn't have. Massaging seats. You want to know what has massaging seats? The Bentley has massaging seats. That's right. Come on, Chrysler. It is 2023, and you've got a 2008 Bentley back there that is kicking your backside in the luxury and comfort department. This really is a great truck. Heated back seats, cooled back seats. It is pretty dirty. I need to clean it out. It deserves better than what I've been giving it. We'll go ahead and climb in. We'll fire it up real quick. And it's always good to start these cars. That's why I put the keys in all of them, because I thought none of these have really been running in a while. That one's been parked for a couple weeks. That one's been parked for probably 4 or 5 days. The rest of them, I can't even tell you last time I started any of those. So let's go ahead and fire it up. That's about what you'd expect. Hit the accept button. There we go. Everything comes to life. And what do we got on the odometer? Last I remember, it was somewhere around 10,000 miles. 10,787. We're at almost 11,000 miles on this now. You got the Sirius XM 4-wheel drive. The air suspension is absolutely phenomenal. It's a great place to be when you're in it. Like I said, the problem is I just never use this truck anymore, and it's hard to justify $1,500 a month for a truck payment on a truck that I'm literally not using. With that said, I'm actually considering driving this one home. It's one of those things, it is so comfortable. It's such a nice, quiet, cozy place to be, and it's big. I mean, I really enjoy driving the truck. I just don't drive it that often, so maybe I'll take it home today. It deserves a good wash. We can give it a bath, maybe clean it out. Next up is the Bentley, my 2008 Bentley Continental GTC that I got for $24,000 from ACV, which is a dealer-only auction. I noticed this morning before I brought this car down here that it looks like somebody spilled something down the side of my car. And then I realized that is not something that was spilt. That is an animal that urinated on the side of my car. Yeah. I guess that's what a lot of people think about a Bentley. Apparently animals are no exception. You know, they're a good judge of character. Apparently the animal that peed all over it told us exactly what he or she thought about it. This is one of my all-time favorites, aside from, I think I had a 2004 Dodge Viper. Aside from the Viper, this is honestly one of my favorite cars ever. Blows the Aston Martin Vantage that I had out of the water. I mean, the W12 in this thing is so amazing. It's not ridiculously fast, but I'm here to tell you, man, you put it in sport mode and you get on it, it goes so quickly without throwing you back in your seat. That's the only way I can explain it. It's not like most American muscle cars where you hit the throttle, the exhaust goes crazy, you get thrown back in your seat. It goes fast without feeling fast. It is so big, so heavy, it's absolutely insane. We'll pop the hood on it here in a second. Take a look. I cleaned up the interior a little bit. It had a lot of, well, grease and grime all over it. The seat was covered in grease and grime. I cleaned the living heck out of this thing. The steering wheel was the worst. It was absolutely awful. It had a funky odor in here. I don't know what it was, but I ozoned it for about 2 hours, let it sit with the top down for a couple more hours, and it smells great in here. Now, we've got both of the Bentley keys. This is probably the original one. There's nothing left of the buttons. They don't work anymore, but here is what appears to be a new Bentley key. And these are very expensive. A pair of keys for this car is going to run you, I think it's $2,000, and they only sell them in a pair. So you do well to take exceptional care of these keys. We'll go ahead and fire this one up real quick. I love that sound. Oh, let's turn that radio down real quick. I was jamming earlier, guys. Close this door. Now, this car does have a couple of minor issues. One of them is this, the parking brake. Listen to that. It just sounds so good. Anyway, one of them is the parking brake. The parking brake doesn't work, and also the trunk, that button doesn't work at all. The fuel door, nope, that button doesn't work either, and the mirrors don't work, and the parking brake obviously doesn't work. Now, the parking brake is a pretty common issue with these. They're these plastic emergency brake modules that literally lock the brakes, and they're plastic. They have a nasty habit of cracking, and then they don't work anymore. Once they crack apart, they're done. So that's probably what's going on. Now, why the trunk release doesn't work from the interior, I don't know. Same thing with the fuel door. I have no idea why that doesn't work. But the parking brake, I'm pretty sure, is just a normal fault with these cars. As for the mirrors, not a clue why those don't work either. With that said, everything else works. The sport suspension works like it's supposed to. The air ride, I'm not going to do it, but I'll do it. Well, let's just air it up. The air ride, we can turn it up, and the car will raise itself up. The radio, everything else, lights, signals, horn, everything in this car works like it's supposed to, other than the things that I just mentioned, including the convertible top. Now, there is a check engine light on the dash, and we'll have to dig into that a little bit later. I've driven this car 709 miles since I got it. Almost 1,000 miles on a $24,000 Bentley. I thought for sure I was going to end up stuck in a car that was, well, it's not over yet, but I thought that this car was going to absolutely destroy me. As you can see, it is sitting really high now. Why you would do that, I don't know. I guess if you've got some rough terrain, maybe? I suppose. I'm going to go ahead and lower it down because I think it looks absolutely ridiculous with the suspension raised up like that. You simply push this button right here, and then you turn it to normal. You give it a couple seconds, and the car will go back down. It took me a while to figure out how all the stuff works on this, but it's actually pretty intuitive. All of the buttons on the steering wheel work as well. The windshield wipers work like they're supposed to. Heat and air conditioning function as they're supposed to. Sports mode is a lot of fun in this, and yes, it has paddle shifters. I have a lot of fun with those when I feel like getting into it. You put the suspension into sport mode by pushing that button and turning it to sport. Then you put this all the way down to S, and you simply go out and have yourself a good time. We're going to take a quick peek under the hood. I haven't looked under the hood of this since I bought it and made my first video. Hasn't been any reason to. I haven't had any warnings, nothing out of the ordinary. Now, with the check engine light being on, normally I would have checked it already, but the damn thing runs and drives so great, so reliably. It's getting between 15 and 16 miles a gallon on average, so whatever it is, it can't be anything very serious, guys. Otherwise, it wouldn't be getting 16 miles a gallon. Listen to that thing purr. I mean, it's an absolute work of art. It's beautiful. As you can tell, this is one of my favorite cars right here. High mileage, 90,000 miles on the odometer, but don't let the mileage fool you. This thing is in phenomenal mechanical condition. I park it in my driveway every day. It doesn't leave any oil or transmission stains. The trunk opens like it's supposed to, and to open the fuel tank, you got to get in here and just kind of pull this down. Yes, it's a pain. Uh-oh. I didn't do it all the way. There we go. It is a pain, but ultimately it works. And I've only been using premium unleaded in this. The best we get here in Oklahoma is 93. So I'll put 93 in it whenever I can. And otherwise, it's going to be 91 or 92. It's going to be about as good as you can get. Let's move on from the Bentley to the Cadillac ELR. This, it's kind of another one of my favorites. It's a little hybrid, basically a Chevy Volt. This is a 2016, and I got it for really, really cheap. At least in my opinion, I got it cheap. I think it's got about 67,000 miles on the odometer. It really is. The body, interior, everything is in just great shape on this car. Had a mechanical problem where it didn't want to charge. Being a hybrid, it takes gas, which I guess you got to push a button. It's been a while since I've driven it. It takes gas, and you can charge it using electricity. So it didn't want to charge. I took it to Cadillac, and they fixed it for free because it's under an 8-year, 100,000-mile warranty. It didn't cost me a dime to get this car fixed. So I've charged it up, and I parked it out here, and I never came back, unfortunately. Let's go ahead and fire it up. You probably aren't going to hear anything because, well, it's obviously, let's turn that down. Hold on. Let's turn that down. There we go. Yeah, like I said, it's fully charged on battery, and it's going to run on the battery. Air conditioning, heat works, heated seats, heated steering wheel. This is another one. Everything works, no warning lights at all, and I can get, what am I currently getting? An average of 77.2 miles a gallon out of the last 182 miles that I've driven this car. 77 average miles a gallon, guys. What a great little car this one is. There's not much to say about it. This one's got a motorized, look at that. And to bring it back down, you just kind of touch it and pull it. There it is. How nice. You've got sport modes, and that's about it. You've got a little hidey hole down here for hiding your stuff, and for wireless charging, and for a USB port. And then to close it, you just push it again. You got a nice little cubby hole right here with the wheel lock, a couple more USB ports. This is a really nice old car. This is a 2016, and I picked it up, in my opinion, again, very cheap, for around $12,000. Now, I've already got an offer from Carvana to give me $21,800 for this car. It also has an electric glove box, just like a Tesla. It's got all of the books and everything with it as well. I almost hate to sell this car. I really do. But again, this is one of those cars that, honestly, it's just been sitting here. I don't drive it because I've been driving the Bentley, and honestly, the Bentley's another one that probably needs to go down the road sooner rather than later, because God knows eventually that car is going to bite me. It's just the nature of the beast. I'm here to tell you, though, I have never been in a car that I enjoyed so much as I enjoy this one right here. I'm waiting on the title to come back in my dealership's name for this car. As soon as it comes back, I'm going to hit up Carvana, maybe CarMax, maybe Kelley Blue Book, and see what kind of cash offers I get. And basically, I'm going to let it go to the highest offer. It's a wonderful car. I wish I could keep it, but I actually stand to make thousands of dollars in profit on this car, and for that reason, it's got to go. Next, this is my newest car in the fleet, my 1984 Chevrolet C20 Silverado Edition. It's got the long bed, it's the single cab, it's a one owner prior to my purchasing it anyway. Single owner with, what is it, 97,407 miles. Now, I haven't driven this truck in several days. It's got a fuel system issue, and I've got all the parts. I just haven't had the time to come down here and mess with it. But watch this. It's been days. I'm going to pump it a few times. Fires right up. Look, I'm not touching the gas, and I won't have to. I don't have to do anything else to this truck. Yes, the R12 air conditioning actually works on this, if you can believe that. Runs like a top. Although I said it has a fuel system issue, runs super rich. I mean, it's crazy how rich this thing runs. The only thing I've done to this truck so far is I bought these tires on eBay. These were like 480 bucks. These are Land Spider. Hey, I've never heard of them either, but Land Spider City Tracks HTs. These are LT 235/85 R16. These are load range E tires, 10 ply. That's right, 10 ply. Finding tires that are 235/85 16 is next to impossible unless you're getting a truck tire or a trailer tire. Let's pop the hood so you can see what this thing's working with. A good old-fashioned GM 350. That's it, 5.7 liter with a carburetor, man. And it runs really, really well. One day, if I were to keep this for an extended period of time, I'd like to clean everything up under here. I would probably pull this motor and the transmission and just give everything a good solid cleaning. I'd replace the intake manifold with like an Edelbrock to go with the carburetor that I got for it as well. I got a 1906 Edelbrock ABS2 for this truck. You know, clean up the underhood, maybe put some headers on it, and just a nice little exhaust, nothing too crazy. And that's it. I think that's all I would do to this truck, because honestly, aside from needing a carburetor, this thing actually runs and drives out really, really well. The problem is the fuel economy is horrible. This should have a 700 R4, so it is an overdrive transmission, but even with overdrive, because of how poorly this thing is running, I'm only able to get 10 miles a gallon. And to put that into perspective, I was driving all the way for like 4,000 miles. Monkey Wrench Mike and I drove my 69 Chevelle SS with a 396, all right? We drove that with a 4-speed transmission, manual, by the way. We got 10 miles a gallon out of that, all right? So that's really, really bad for a truck that has an overdrive transmission. You've got great oil pressure, the voltage is charging like it's supposed to, the wheels are straight, power steering is buttery smooth and quiet, air conditioning works, although it doesn't work the greatest. I'm gonna let this one run for a little bit too, because it has been sitting. Now, moving on to the ones that have been sitting the longest are these three. And these two are sold. I just sold this one on ACV Auctions a couple days ago. I couldn't get anything out of this on Copart. I'm telling you, Copart has been just really hard when it comes to selling cars lately. So I put this up on ACV. I paid $10,000 for this 2014 Toyota Prius Level 4. And unfortunately, I was only able to get $8,500 out of it. And I didn't do anything but drive this car 1,400 miles. I drove it to Terre Haute, Indiana in a video that I did with my Tesla, and I drove it back. And that's it. Other than that, there's nothing wrong with it. No check engine lights, perfect tires, interior smells good. It's a little dirty, but I mean, really it's not dirty. It needs a light vacuum and a quick wipe down, and this thing would be good to go. Beautiful interior. It's got the sunroof, which, like I said, I never use. Heat and air conditioning work like it's supposed to. The thing gets phenomenal fuel economy, obviously, because it's a Prius, and I couldn't sell it. And I was shocked because I bought this car on ACV Auctions for $10,000, and I was only able to get $8,500 out of this car. So yeah, I lost $1,500 on this one, and that's kind of a shame. It's a good looking car. All the windows work, light signals, everything functions like it's supposed to. It's just one of those things. Maybe it's the deterioration of the market, perhaps. I don't know. I'm stuttering because I'm so upset about how much I lost on this car. Actually, I'm not. $1,500, it sucks to lose that kind of money, but honestly, in the big scheme of things, it's not really that bad. With that said, we can move on to my 2013 Mercedes-Benz SLK 250, I believe this is. This one I bought for $10,000, and I thought it was a great deal. Here's the thing, I bought it thinking I was really going to drive it, and I didn't. I drove it for a few days, and I parked it. There's nothing wrong with the car other than the convertible top didn't work. Well, I fixed the convertible top, and it didn't cost me a dime to fix it. I'll show you that here in just a second, but it's a fun car. It's got plenty of pep, you know, torque and all that good stuff for what it is. Being a little turbo, I think it's a 1.8 liter four-banger. You know, it's really not a bad car. I love driving it. It's just anticlimactic, I think. If it was an AMG, maybe that would be different, you know, like an SLK 55 AMG. That would make it a little more interesting. Unfortunately, as nice as the car is, I actually really like the white on black and the white on black up here. I think it's a great looking car. I love the red interior. It's just performance-wise, you know, there's not much to it. Now, this is one that Watch JR Go wanted to break apart on his channel. He wanted to scrap it, and I'm going to tell you guys, there's literally nothing wrong with this car. Not even a check engine light. Okay, I lied. It says replace the battery in the key. Okay, one of my keys, I think I've got two keys here, yeah. So one of my keys has a low battery, and it wants me to replace it. So that's the only thing wrong with this car. It has the upgraded stereo. There you go, you push radio. Warns you that the door is open. Apparently, from what I was told, even though this is an aftermarket upgrade to like the newer generation of Mercedes, this is a factory Mercedes upgrade, and I was not aware of that. I guarantee whatever that cost, it was a lot of money. Somebody had to have paid a lot of money for that. It's got the Harman Kardon stereo system. You've got every option you could imagine in this car. Yes, heat and AC works. Yes, the windows work. And yes, even the convertible top works. That car over there has like 97,000 miles on it, something like that. This one has 98,990. So I'm wrong. That one should have like 93,000 on it then. So this one is just under 100,000 miles, and it runs and drives perfectly fine. No oil leaks, no smoking, no nothing. So the only issue was the convertible top. If you push this, it should go down, or is that up? This is down. There we go. You'll see all the windows, and then you'll just hear it whining. It just whines. It doesn't do anything. Well, I'm going to show you something, and this is something I'll probably try to fix myself later. Maybe it just needs some lube. But you'll notice the trunk is partway popped. Or maybe I got to pop it this way. There we go. It's like it gets stuck right here, right there. So I'm thinking we might need to put a little bit of lube on this and a little bit of lube on that. Now, as soon as you've done that, and I know it's a pain to have to get out and open your roof like that, but watch it. The rest of it, problem free, no issue at all. And it'll close just fine. But then again, when you go to close the roof, you hear that pop. That can't be normal. So look at the top. Look at the car now with the top down, and you see how great it looks. I mean, she's a slick car when you got that top down. At least I think, anyway. I think she's a good-looking car. But again, it's one of those that just sat here and sat here and sat here. I did nothing with it, so I decided to sell it. So I put it on ACV Auctions, which is the same place I put this car. I got 85 for this, and I got 95 for this. And I want you to know that I took a loss versus selling it to JR. JR offered me what I paid for it. All right, I actually took a loss on this car because I didn't want to see this car broken apart, scrapped, for parts. I couldn't do it. It's just too nice of a little car to see it get torn apart, man. We'll pop the hood real quick. Yeah, and I'm not trying to sell you any cars in this video either, guys. Like, this is just a fleet update because everything that I really wanted to sell is sold. So I have nothing to sell you guys at this point. Other than this, if you want to buy this, let me know. I'd love to send that one down the road. Look at this. Just a nice little turbo 4-cylinder. Purrs like a kitten, gets phenomenal fuel economy, and no issues. With almost 100,000 miles, a Mercedes with almost 100,000 miles that just runs and drives like it's supposed to. Now moving on, this is one that I said I can't sell. This is my 1991 Nissan BE1, and I can't get rid of this car. I've tried. Nobody's bidding. I've even dropped the price to a point where it's absolutely ridiculous now. This one wouldn't sell on Copart, so I ended up putting this up on ACV auctions, and I've gotten very little traction out of this car anywhere. So it's dubbed the car that won't sell. I made the mistake of paying $6,500 for this car, and it has not been started in weeks. I mean, weeks this thing has been sitting here. It's a gray market car imported from Japan. I don't know if there's going to be any power in this or not. Looks like it might actually have power. It is carbureted, so pump it. I'll be damned. Really? It fired up first try. How about that? How about that? It fired up first try. I guess here's the deal. If I can't sell it, the mirror recently finished breaking. I may have to just buy some parts for this and start working on it. It needs a carburetor, and it needs a good cleaning. Aside from that, I mean, that's it. And now it needs a rear view mirror. The mirror fell on the floor here. There you go. The air conditioning does not work. Everything else works like it's supposed to, though. It idles too high. If you can get it to idle down, eventually it will just start dying. Now, it'll drive as long as you have it in gear and going down the road. She'll drive and stay running, but as soon as you come to like a stop and you got to push the clutch in and get it out of gear, it dies. And sometimes it doesn't, but most of the time it does. I can only assume that there's something going on. It's got one of those weird electronic carburetors. It's kind of like a hybrid carburetor, and my guess is there's something going on with that. Also needs a set of tires. Aside from that, though, it's really not too bad of a little car. I've had this thing at almost 100 miles an hour. I got it up to like 97 miles an hour. Not kilometers, miles an hour. So I'm here to tell you, it runs out and drives out just fine for a little cracker box on wheels. This is not one that I want to keep. It was something that I wanted to do just for fun, something different on the channel. I thought it was cute, interesting, and unfortunately, it did not do all of that. I didn't do all that well on the channel. So here it is. If you're interested in it, well, I guess give me a holler, autoauctionrebuilds@gmail.com. Here it is. Here it goes. And now it's gonna die. It's gonna die. There it is. I told you. You can't, once it gets to a certain, I guess, temperature, it just craps out, man. But like I said, it'll absolutely drive down the road just fine, as long as you keep it in gear. Now, this isn't all I have. I've also got a couple more that are in the shop. So why don't we go in there and take a look at those real quick before we conclude this video. All right, I think these cars have been running long enough. Now is a good time to shut them down. And I'm gonna show you with this one what I mean. When you go to put the top up, it gets stuck. You know, it pops the trunk and then it just hangs. So then you gotta get out. And then you gotta put your fingers under here and pop it. And then you got to get back in, and then you finish pushing the button, and you'll clearly see it goes back down, no problems. I'm really thinking just a little bit of lube back there might help straighten this whole issue out. It closes great. I mean, and you'll hear it pop. Yeah, ooh. You know, that, I don't know, to me, and then you've got this button. If you push it, all the windows go up simultaneously. How about that? Yeah, one button, all the windows go up or all the windows go down. It's sitting here with the air conditioning blasting, which is really nice. Oh, fuel low. Yeah, that's okay. It's already sold. Let me grab the keys so I can pile these up in one place. Like I said, I don't leave the keys in the cars, guys. That would be very irresponsible. But you'll see that all these cars are still sitting here and purring just like they're supposed to. Nothing's overheating. No issues at all. Oh boy, that sounded crazy, didn't it? There we go. Lock them up. The pickup truck, man, this one just gets me. An old school carbureted 84 Chevy that you can literally fire up and all the gauges work like they're supposed to, you know what I mean? Everything works. Runs and drives absolutely great, aside from needing a carb. All right, moving along. The Cadillac ELR, I don't think this counts because this car turns itself off. In fact, yeah, it's already off, so scratch that one. Hybrid things. Here we go with the Bentley, the one you should be most concerned about. Look at that. And yes, I've had a lot of people asking about the temperature gauge down here. 200 degrees. People are like, is that normal? That's crazy. Yes, it is normal. But I can't even get you guys down there. It freaks people out so much that the temperature gauge sits at 200 that later on, Bentley moved the 200 all the way to the middle, and the temperature gauge now goes to 300 on this end. So people are always concerned about that temperature gauge, and I'm not going to lie, I was concerned too when I first bought the car. I was very nervous that temperature looked a little high, but that is perfectly normal, and Bentley had to change it eventually because it freaked people out too much. Last, and certainly not least, the truck. We know there's nothing wrong with this one. And if there is, well, I got a warranty. Oh, it feels good in here. Yes, air conditioned. I love this truck. I just don't drive it. Okay, that's all of the cars out here. Let's go in the shop and let's see what we've got in there. And my favorite place to be when I'm out here is the shop. The 87 Chevy Monte Carlo SS. I have been working tirelessly on this car every single day. In fact, I've been working so much on it, I haven't even been filming very many videos on this car. I've done a ton of work, and I have filmed very, very little in the way of videos. The problem is when you look at it, you don't really see the work that I've done to it because everything has been on the brakes. I've got all of the brakes completely redone, front to back, from the master cylinder, lines, proportioning valve, calipers, wheel cylinders, hardware kit. Every piece of the brake system has been completely replaced with new, and here's all of the old. And I mean, this was a chore. I'm not even exaggerating. This was literally a chore. I've had a lot of people ask me if I'm going to clean up the engine bay on this car before we drop the engine in, and the answer is absolutely yes. I'm probably going to bring the pressure washer in here. And I'm probably just going to do it in the shop. I don't have any way of really rolling it out, but I definitely want to get all of this cleaned up because we're getting very, very close to being able to install the new 383 stroker and the new 204R transmission with the Thor torque converter. And I'm really excited about this. I'm super excited to get this thing running for the first time with the new powertrain. Almost 500 horsepower and 500 foot-pounds of torque. This thing, it's going to be a tire shredding monster. And I think the first thing we're going to do after we get it running and we get it out on the road and make sure everything is good is I think we're going to do a burnout, because I'm going to delete on these wheels and tires, and I'm going to put either these or these. I haven't decided which ones yet, but I'm going to sell one set. These are new. Like I put these on, I don't even remember. I put these on something, and I like the Grand National for a week, and then I took them off, and they've just been sitting here. I've never even cleaned the letters or anything. These are like brand new. So I'm probably going to go with these. I think these are going to look better on this car. So stay tuned. There's a ton more coming on this car. next to all of this gasoline stuff, is one of my favorite cars, I would say, next to the Bentley currently. Well, I love that Chevy truck too. And I kind of love the Monte Carlo. Okay, I don't really know, but this one right here, my 2013 Tesla Model S P85. P for performance. This thing is an absolute beast. It flies. I mean, it's really quick. It's a fun car, and I've done a lot of work to it, and unfortunately, I'm not done yet. This car just won't let me go. Every time I think I'm finished, something else goes wrong. For example, I'm getting some squeaking out of the back end. Now, I recently did a video where I replaced a worn out, I forget what it was called, an arm. It's not a control arm. It's like a whatever, for an alignment. I replaced it, but I made a mistake. I tightened everything down before I put a load on the back end. Because of that, I have a bushing that is now binding up from the weight of the car, and it's causing it to squeak. So what I'm going to have to do is redo everything I just did. I'm going to take the wheel off, take the bolts out, then put the weight of the car back on to this hub, and then I can torque down that arm again. Also, I took it to Firestone to get an alignment, and Firestone basically laughed me out of the building. I mean, they didn't actually laugh me out of the building, but they said, Mr. Scheer, your front end is trash. They said that my forward lower control arms, there are forward and rear lowers. Okay, it's a two-piece control arm. They said the forward lowers are bad. And I thought about it. They said once I replace those, they'll do the alignment and it'll take no problem. Alignment will be good as new. The problem is, I got to thinking about it. I was like, this car has 273,000 miles on it, and it's still riding on the factory suspension. It's probably best to just change the whole thing. So I bought some new components. This right here from TRQ, this is the entire front end for the car. We're talking upper control arm, both lower control arms on both sides, and it's going to require a lot of disassembly, but I think it's the right thing to do. If we're going to start replacing a couple of the components up front, we probably should just go ahead and get them all done. The same thought goes to the back end, but I've already done it, so I'm going to leave that alone unless I absolutely have to go back and fix something else. If something else needs replaced, it'll be time to just do all of that. But the front end is the only thing keeping me from getting an alignment on this car. I haven't driven this car in forever. The keys are, I'll be honest with you, I don't even know where that scares me that I don't know where the keys are. Normally I would think, oh, there it is, right there. Everything is still working on this car, although since Firestone told me they couldn't do the alignment, I parked it because I meant to come out here and actually get some work done. And I just, I haven't gotten around to it. But charge limit, we're not going to change that. The radio, we can turn that down. The air conditioning just kicked on like it's supposed to. Isn't that nice? It is so nice to have working heat and air conditioning. And, oh, I forgot, I fixed my TPMS sensors. I know they're not showing anything right now, but you'll notice there's no error across the screen, and there's no red, like, lightning bolt over here for the tire pressure monitoring system. Turns out it had the wrong sensors in it. This car, because they updated the MCU unit, it updated the type of sensors that this car takes as well. So this has the newer Continental TPMS sensors. So thanks to those of you that reached out on YouTube and said, hey, Randy, you just need to put the right sensors in. That was all it was. I took it to Walmart, threw the sensors in, no problem. Honestly, aside from getting the suspension rebuilt on the front, this car is almost done. And what does that mean for the car? I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to sell it. I got it for $7,800, which I feel like is stupid cheap for a car like this. I put new wheels and tires on it. It already has a new battery that's still under warranty. I've replaced so many components, including the DC to DC converter, the rear backup camera, the blower motor has been replaced. The blower motor resistor has been replaced as well. There's a lot that's been replaced on this car, and it makes it something that you can literally drive this for next to nothing. Electricity in Oklahoma only costs 12 cents per kilowatt hour. 12 cents per kilowatt hour, meaning you could run through 250 miles on this car, and it's going to cost you maybe 10 to $12. 12 is tops, like $12 tops. If you're charging it from home, you're looking at 250 miles for somewhere around 10 to 12 bucks. And realistically, it's going to be closer to the $10 end of things because I always charge it up before it's actually completely out of juice. So there it is. There is everything that I've got. I do have a couple motorcycles, but I don't think you guys are all that interested in those. I've got my 2022 Harley-Davidson Nightster over here that has no miles on it because it never gets ridden. I am going to start riding this more. I went out and bought some motorcycle gear. I've got a new Cena helmet with Bluetooth, so I can do moto vlogs. I can hook my camera up to the Bluetooth comm system and do vlogs with you guys on it. And I'll be riding my 22 Harley-Davidson Sportster S as well. I am going to throw some moto vlogs out for you guys on occasion and see how they do. I know that most of you are not subscribed to the channel for that kind of stuff, so feel free to just skip those videos, but I do want to try it out and see if it's something any of you would even be interested in at all. Other than that, I've got a pile of, I think most of this is junk. This all came off of this car. Exhaust and brake parts and just a lot of stuff that we are going to reuse the fan shroud. But aside from that, all of this, all of these lines, all of these parts out here, I actually need to get in here when this video is done and clean up the shop a little bit. And then I got to get back to work. I'm going to make a video doing the front suspension on this car. I'm going to make maybe another video or two working on this, and hopefully in one of the next videos on the Monte Carlo we'll actually be ready to set this motor and transmission in the car. I am so excited to bring that video to you guys. The first start is going to be epic. I guess that's going to be it for this video. A little long-winded, I apologize, but I'm really excited about all of the cars that I have, and I'm excited to share my experience with all of you. If you enjoyed today's video, I hope you hit the thumbs up button and consider subscribing to the channel. Be sure to drop your comments down below, and until next time, stay safe out there, everybody. I look forward to seeing you all again very soon in the next one.